Good morning, my name's Penny and I live in a seaside town in the southeast of England with my husband Pete. Today I'm going to show you what's on my crafting table, what's been happening over the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to be reading you my story. It started at the beginning. I was born, very original, in 1949, and now I'm up to 1959 this week, so I hope you enjoy that. There's a couple of films along the way, and I hope you'll join me for Penelope's Chinwag. So let's start with the crafting. I don't have a crafting room, I just have a crafting table in my bedroom, but it's a decent sized table. It's got 2 leaves, so it folds down really small, but then it opens up to be quite big. And what I've been doing over the last 2 weeks is quilting the EPP quilt that I started during lockdown. I started putting it together. I put it together and then, I had to put it away because it was such a big job. What I did was I just made squares. And then I thought, oh, what shall I do? I put all the squares, in a pile. And then I saw the fabric had one of those, pieces of fabric, and it had six circles on it with design in it in the middle of each. And I thought, oh, I'll send off for that. And then I cut them up. And then I thought I'll stitch the pile of squares that I'd made round those 6 circles. And do you know what? By the time I'd done that, I thought I've got to put this away for a little while. So I put it away for a little while. And recently I thought, let's get it quilted. So that's what I've been doing. Over the last couple of weeks since I saw you last, I haven't felt well. There's so many bugs going around, isn't there? This bug was called exhaustion. It wasn't called flu. It wasn't called chesty or cold. No, just exhaustion. Pete and I had been away for 3 days with our daughter and son-in-law, and we'd had a super rest and a super time chatting away. Came back. Next day, woke up. I just felt I couldn't get out of bed. And I thought, I've overdone it because, well, Pete's not that good at walking, and we walked quite a way on the South Downs. I know my son-in-law was a bit worried, saying, shall we turn back? But we did eventually turn back, of course, otherwise we wouldn't have got home. But I thought, we've overdone it. But then the next day I thought, no, this is more than that. It was just exhaustion. So I had a week in bed. Well, obviously I didn't stay in bed. I was in bed, got up to eat, got up to potter about, went back to bed, slept in the afternoon, all that sort of thing. But what I did do was I love quilting my quilts on my bed because that then holds all the weight and I'm just holding that bit that I'm doing. So my quilt's got quite a bit of quilting on it. And then last time I showed you I was going to make, I'm using moustache, and I was going to use this wool. I'd gone off it. That's why I hadn't used it. I mean, it's Surrey alpaca. It's beautiful. I paired it with this, and this is the result. I finished it. I'm really pleased with it. This is a pattern that's in this book, the Rowan book, and it's supposed to be done in the Kids Silk Haze. It's called Brick, and I shall knit it again. I think I shall knit it again in lots of different wools. This is going to use up quite a lot of my stash. You can do it anyway. Shall I stand up? It fits me beautifully, and it's I can't, I can't stop stroking it because it's just so soft and so beautiful. Here it is, Debbie Bliss Rialto lace. I love it. Now I've got this over because I bought, what I thought I would need, but shall I take it back? or shall I put it in stash? Am I adding to my stash? I bought it from my local wool shop, and I can take it back. She'll change it. But it's so beautiful, and it looks so nice with this. I might keep it. I just don't know yet. Anyway, what did I find knitting the two together? What I found was I had to be careful. It's very easy when you've got a fine yarn to miss picking up both stitches. It's very easy. This is quite fine, as I've shown you. And then the two together. I like it though. This blue has really given it a brightness, but you do have to be careful that you pick up both strands together. But I shall knit plenty more. I haven't got any V-necks. I haven't got any sleeveless. And this fits me beautifully. I have got a lot of kids' silk haze, bits and bobs that I've, had left over from garments that I've knitted over the years. And I'm a one to keep everything. That's the thing, which is why I've got quite a big stash of bits and bobs, but also I have got some jumper amounts that I've bought. So this is what I'm doing. There's the challenge I mentioned last week, finding a pattern so that I don't run out. And this didn't take too much at all. As you can see, I bought, this was my second, I've got that left over. So really I should keep that and put that with that, and that will make, because I bought 3, so that'll make another one of these if I pair it with a different wool. Because it's beautiful. I must stop stroking myself, otherwise I'll have to edit. My friend will say, why did you keep stroking yourself? Well, that brings me on to something I looked up, because viewers that are regular do know that I get washing machine head. I'm going to have to look at my notes for this, because I was in bed and I got washing machine head, and that means I get a thought, that one thought leads to another, and then it goes round and round and round. I have to sort it out. And I was thinking of endorphins. Was I thinking of endorphins? Yeah, I was. Endorphins. You'd think you'd know about endorphins, wouldn't you? Well, I was a masseur, and for quite a number of years. And I also then became a counsellor, and I worked for the NHS for some 20 odd years. So I should know about endorphins, but sitting up in bed and quilting my quilt, my brain started going. I'll tell you what I found out about them. Well, I actually didn't write anything down, but I obviously found out quite a bit because my washing machine head stopped. Endorphins, I think endo meant inside, like inside our brains, and it's like morphine, isn't it? Endorphin. And what they were doing, what the scientists were doing, was trying to find a substitute painkiller for morphine and other addictive type painkillers. And whilst they were doing that, they found that we do have these natural forming endorphins. It was in 1974 they found it. I think they found it in a pig's brain, but anyway, we'll pass over the pig's brain. But what these endorphins do is they actually make us feel a whole lot better. And being out in the open air causes these endorphins to start working in our brain, which I thought was really good, because everybody says, let's take a walk, even if it's a slow, gentle walk, or even if it's just sitting in the garden or sitting on the balcony or just getting outside. That starts the endorphins. It triggers them. And another thing that does is, in my case, crafting. And that's why, you hear some people, don't you? They say, oh, I bought this fabric and I probably won't make anything with it. I should just stroke it. Because touching this fabric, I've got my quilt here, just touching this fabric and touching this, which is why I keep doing this, it creates these endorphins and it makes us feel happy and it makes us feel Well, it helps us with any pain we have. And whilst we have to be careful, if we, I have to be careful. That's why I can knit for a little while, then I do a bit of sewing and I change it up. Otherwise, I get quite a bit stiff, in my hands. But yeah, just having this fabric, having this wool, and creating something gives us such a good feeling and triggers these endorphins. So, yeah, it's absolutely true that crafting is good for you. And so, if we suffer from pain, creating something, stroking the fabric, stroking the wool, just having it doesn't mean to say we have to do things at speed. We can take as long as we like. We can just do as little or much as we like. But it's fun. I went round to my friend's house and she's got, I'm going to do a little video of it, a craft stall, and what she's making at the moment. We just sat and, oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. I will show you in future episodes what she's doing. But I got so excited, I said I want to buy it all. She said, of course you don't. I did. But just being together and talking about what she's making, talking about what we're making together, it is very good for us. Anyway, I've digressed on endorphins. So what are my future plans? Well, still to carry on quilting my quilt here, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But I found some more stash and I've got this book, Sublime, the Luxury Black Brown by Serdar. And it's the 22nd little Sublime hand knit book. And I decided to knit this little jacket here. I'll show you. I'm going to knit this for George and one for Tommy, my great-grandsons. And I've sorted it out. And I've got this Rowan, baby merino silk double knit. So I've got 4 of those. And I'm hoping that's going to be enough. Just put that down there. And then I've sorted something else out. I've shown you this before. Alpaca silk 4-ply. It's got a lovely halo to it. It's really soft. I've knitted a couple of garments in this, in a green and a pink. But this was a bit, I don't know. I thought, again, what can I do? I wanted to do something different. Well, it would make a nice V-neck, wouldn't it? But I went to my local wool shop and I got some Adrofil kid mohair. And then this is the 2 knitted together. And I did it exactly as it says, a 450, because the pattern I'm going to be doing is a 4-ply or a fingering, they call it, don't they? And a mohair. So I'm actually knitting it with what they suggest. And last night I did my swatch, and when I tested it this morning for that 4 inches or 10 centimeters, it's exactly right. So it is worth doing just that little bit of knitting. What I do, I put that on my ironing board and I just sprayed it with some water and pinned it down. It dried in about 10 minutes, but I've got that's how it's going to be. I like it. So I'm going to be knitting, and so I'm going to pair these 2 together and I'll show you how it comes out as I do it. That's what it knits up to. It just takes that real brightness off, that which I felt was a bit too much. So again, using the stash, we'll see how we get on. So that's my 2 knitting projects I'm going to be starting. And let me show you my quilt then. This is the back of the quilt, which I love. It's just so happy, so beautiful. And then the front of it, as you can see, I've done 4 of these circles. I'm going to put a photograph up of what they look like. This is a square one here. You can see the squares going round the circles, and I decided that I didn't want to quilt these squares because I did do as you can see here, I did do in this piece here. It's just such a busy fabric, it all gets lost, and so long as you quilt with a hand width away, it'll be fine. So I'm doing round the edge, and then I'm doing round the circles. I'm really pleased with it. So that's what's on my crafting table this week. 2 new knitting projects and carrying on doing my quilt. So whilst I was in bed, the guys came and did a bit of gardening for us. They in the spring they do the trees, and in the autumn they do the trees, and that's what they were doing. They were here 2 days, just trimming everything. I've had the tree cut down in the middle of the garden, which I don't like. It was the Judas tree, and it's been beautiful over the years we've lived here, but it's time that it went. So that went. And whilst I get myself settled to read you my story, I'll put that bit of film up. So I'll see you in a minute. That's me settled. Before I read you my story, I want to read you a poem I want to tell you a few things before I read you my story. Washing machine head. Last week I rallied, although I hadn't been feeling well, because my aunt from Ireland came over to visit. She's staying with her son in London, and she just popped down for a few hours to see me, which I was so thrilled about. I haven't seen her for a couple of years, and we really miss each other because she lives in Ireland. Her name's Anne. I expect you've met her before if you're a long-term viewer. And we had a super time together. I'm just going to put up some photos here of, trying to get a good one of us. You know what it's like. Oh no, don't hold the camera like this, don't hold the camera like that. But we had a lovely day together, and I was really pleased that I felt well for that day. Next day I was back in bed, but that didn't matter. It was the day that counted. And then she told me about my Auntie Joyce. Well, Auntie Joyce is my dad's sister. She's 96, and she showed me what she'd been knitting. Oh, she's just amazing. 96. I have asked her, and I'm going to put up a photo of a little jumper that she'd knitted, cardigan, I think. I loved the way she'd done the button band, and it was just beautiful and so encouraging. So there's a photo here of her as well. So that was a lovely day. And then I got to thinking about a poem that my friend had written for me a long, long time ago. I mean, in the 70s. And I've been meaning to read it out because it's so lovely. So I'm going to read it now before I read my story. Dear friend, I do treasure your comfort, your soul always balancing mine. And when confused thinking confounds me, my blurred mind your sweet words refine. My friend, we speak truth with each other, in matters of heart or of mind, in small things and great, in love and in hate, new strength in each other we find. Dear friend, you know just how I'm feeling. I've no need to give you a sign. In me you see clearly your person. In you too I see in truth mine. Dear friend, I thank God for this blessing that He in His kindness has brought two people not fleshly related together as sisters in thought. That's so lovely, isn't it? I've had to take a few times to be able to read that because tears did spring to my eyes, but I'm glad that I've finally been able to do it. Such a treasured poem for me that she wrote. I wanted to share it with you. I also want to share a friend of hers. He just, I don't know what he does, whether he puts it on WhatsApp or where he puts it, but anyway, she shared it with me and I thought it was lovely, especially about what we don't know. Sometimes we can, anyway, I'll put it up and see what you think.
Forgive the foot that steps on your toe while dancing. Forgive the sticky jelly fingers that smudge your favorite photo. And forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. And most of all, my fellow heart survivor, be gentle and kind to the part of you that's still learning.
Isn't that lovely? Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. Sometimes we expect we should have known it before we've even learnt it. I thought they were such wise words. Anyway, I'm going to read you my story now. Oh yes, last time I was speaking about a photograph that I'd had taken that was put in the local paper. So we'll carry on. My experience at the dentist was awful. We walked down Bruce Grove and Mr. Caston's surgery was above a shop in the high road. We went in through a glass door on which his name was painted in large black letters. I wish it had been a solicitor's or undertaker's or anything but a dentist. That's what it felt like with those large black letters. The smell hit you at once. Gas. My legs started to wobble straight away, and my butterflies grew to such a proportion that my whole body started to waver. The floor was a grey, rubbery lino, and my every footstep seemed to stick like glue. Surely something will happen before I get to the top of the stairs, I thought. Something, anything, that will come between me and the large black dentist chair. Mr. Caston invited me to sit in the chair and pumped it up with his foot. Above was an enormous drill, good enough to build the M25 now, but then considered kind enough to use on children. I lay back, gave a thin smile in the hopes that everything would disappear and I would wake up at home. But filling after filling went into my mouth, or sometimes a huge black rubber mask was put over my face and teeth were extracted. I always felt so sick afterwards. What a horrible experience. When it was over, we'd cross the road and go into Woolworths. This had a magical air about it. The floor was wooden and seemed to give with every step. At the back of the store was a long counter where we would sit on high stools and have tea in thick china cups with sticky currant buns. My mum would say, "Are you all right, love? Eat on the other side." I did, and was glad it was all over. While Mum was doing her shopping, I'd have a browse and remember going over to the magic tricks counter. There was a black cardboard tube with "A Night in Paris" stamped round the edge in gold. I looked around to see if anyone was looking and slipped the top off. I put it to my eye, hoping to see I don't know what, but there was nothing, just blackness. What a Swiss, I thought. Placed the top back on and went to find Mum. What's that on your face? She asked. What is it? I thought, and went to find a mirror. There were mirrors on every pillar in Woolworths. I don't know if you remember, but yeah, mirrors all round the shop. There, neatly surrounding my eye, was a thick black rim. I felt stupid and cross that I'd fallen for the trick. About this time, I was a bridesmaid for the first time. I never went to the hairdresser's to have my hair cut and had to hope Mum was feeling in a straight mood. If not, several attempts would be made to even it up, until sometimes my fringe was so short or at an angle. The photo in the local paper with Philip and the wedding photo matched, a crooked fringe in both. Talking of hair, I have a photo where I have curly hair. Mum gave me a home perm. Twinks. It was awful. Anyway, it was my cousin Pat's wedding. She was my mum's sister's daughter. Mum made the two bridesmaids' dresses, and I didn't like the fact that I couldn't choose what to wear. It was a fait accompli. I was very impressed with Sandra, my cousin. She looked pretty, and I wished I had a sticky-out dress like hers. I did love the thin blue velvet ribbon sewn onto the hem of my dress, though, and best of all, I loved the lambskin cape that my grandpa had made for me. I wish I still had it now. It draped over my shoulders, covered my arms, and was beautifully warm in the cold winter's air. The collar was soft around my neck and had a smell of skins. This smell can transport me back to my childhood, and I love wearing fur, although it isn't green now, and I don't actually wear fur. I ran my small fingers in amongst the curls of the lamb's wool, which was creamy white. As I say, I found being a bridesmaid a bit disappointing. The day wasn't exciting or romantic enough for me, and I wished I'd looked more like Sandra. My time was coming, though. Back at school, I was now staying for lunch, which was scrummy. Across the hallway from our classroom was a small kitchen and homely dining room. We'd go in 6 at a time, and Mrs. Hall's daughter would cook us egg and chips, or sausage and chips with baked beans if we wanted. Home cooked, with a cake afterwards, all washed down with a cup of tea or glass of orange juice. I stayed because by now we'd moved and it was too far for me to travel. My Auntie Evelyn and Uncle John came to live in our flat, and I'd trot across to her once a week to have lunch. This meant baked beans on toast or salmon and cucumber sandwiches with tinned peaches and evaporated milk for afters. Auntie Evelyn couldn't have any children, so she made a real fuss of me. She bought me a Bible, which sat in its own box, and on the glossy plastic cover was a picture of Jesus feeding the 5,000. Inside the Bible were lovely coloured pictures and a list of scriptures to read. I looked them all up, but I couldn't understand what they meant. One day I would, but for now I kept it in a special place and took it out of its box when I felt contemplative. Auntie Evelyn was not my real auntie, but Uncle John worked with my dad, and we knew them well. I was always very shy with them both, mainly because I couldn't understand them, but didn't like to say so for fear of hurting their feelings. Auntie Evelyn was broad Irish, and Uncle John broad Scotch, as Mum used to say. I don't have the Bible anymore. It got lost in all the moves. I'm sad about that. Walking back to school after one of Auntie's lovely lunches, late as usual, a man stopped me. "Hello," he said. "Where are you off to?" I told him I was going into school, and he replied, "Oh, don't go this afternoon. Come with me and I'll buy you some sweets and we'll go somewhere nice." I thought about it for a moment and decided I might get into trouble, so I said no thank you and went into my class, which had already started. Mrs. Hall asked me why I was late, and I told her I'd been talking to a man at the gate who wanted to buy me some sweets. She seemed concerned, which surprised me, and told us to get on with our work, and she disappeared for a little while. Looking back, I shudder at what could have happened if I'd said yes. Oh, one of those moments in life, eh? Good job I said no and went into school. So there we are. I think the next bit's going to be about when I move to Southgate, and I'll be coming up for 11. So I'll say cheerio now. I'm going to put up a film of when I went away with my daughter and son-in-law. Oh, here's Pete. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm just coming to the
live?
end. I'm live.
Right.
Okay. I'll just finish off and then we'll have a chat.
Well, I'm just going to say I'm
Yeah.
going to do all the.
You're just going to say what, love?
Going to do all the liver because I can eat all of it.
Okay.
And I've done a bit of mashed potato, but I've done
Right.
a bit just in case you want some.
Lovely. I'll be down in about 10 minutes.
Well, it's not ready yet, no.
Oh, super. He's cooking liver and mashed potato.
And onions.
Oh, onions as
And
well.
bacon.
Bit of bacon. So that's super.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody, he said.
That's as much as I can say at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, it's a film of when we went to the Star, and Pete did well. He walked over the South Downs for quite a way. Beautiful weather. And it's been beautiful ever since, really. So I'll say cheerio and look out for me next week because I'm hoping to do a video every week during November. So I love you and leave you and take care. Cheerio.